Good evening, everybody. Jim Bob, how you doing? The Jim Bob service. I got my name tag on. You know what? I think I might get some shirts and hats made. I've gave it some serious thought. Maybe it's stupid. Maybe I'll just get Jim Bob one. All right, and then maybe if people like them, I'll make them available. It's just a silly thought. You know what I'm saying? It's fun. Anyway, I want to talk about a carburetor. I'm gonna work on this carburetor tonight. I'm gonna pull this carburetor off. I've already took all the bolts off because of video, and Jim Bob's not an editor yet, so he's got to think about things before he does it. Sometimes your stuff starts running crazy, and you're like, "What's wrong with my stuff?" It ain't. It's running crazy. A lot of times you hear someone say, "Well, you must have something in your carburetor." Well, on small engines, that's usually the case, and you're probably like scratching your head going, "Huh, okay, now what?" Well, I'm going to whip this thing off, and like I said, I've already detached most of the stuff, so I just got to pull it off. We're going to take it over a bench, I'm going to take it apart, I'm going to explain to you what goes on real fast. Um, and this is for, there's not a lot of carbureted things in the world right now. Everything's basically fuel injected now, but still your small engines and some other things are still carbureted. All right, and I don't know, maybe you'll learn something. Anyway, let's pull this thing off. And by the way, this is take two because take one, I was halfway through the video and I dropped my camera because I'm not a good videographer. This is hard. I didn't think it'd be this hard. I got to turn the music down because, you know, when I post this video, everybody's like, "Whoa, copyright infringement." We know that music. It's not yours. Now, let me put you up here in this thing. And if that's successful, then we'll be good. If it falls off, then I have to restart the whole thing. All right, looking pretty good. You're there. I'm here. We're all good. All right, first thing we're going to do is we're going to take off the bowl. All right, to take off the bowl on this particular carburetor, this has an electronic shutoff. The electronic shutoff it's a plunger, and it turns the gas on and off in case you flip over or some other emergency happens. It's a safety feature that is really more pain in the ass than anything in the world. There's a lot of these on generators. I mean, it's a good safety thing for tip over and stuff like that, but all you gotta do is lose some voltage on this wire right here, and it's good night Irene, you know what I mean? So Jim Bob's not a, you know, I'm pretty sure if your generator flips over or your tractor, you're gonna know it. Okay, so whatever. So 1/2 inch wrench, I loosened it up, and like I said, I've already had this off because I dropped the camera, had to start over. But what this is, it's a plunger, and it's an electronic plunger. When it has power, like you turn the key on, you start your tractor, it goes down. All right, remember that, goes down. One wire. I'll catch you up to speed on that in a minute. We're going to take our bowl off. Bowl's on the bottom of the carburetor. This butterfly right here is your throttle. When it's closed, you're idling. When it's wide open, you're like a madman. All right, that's how that works. It lets the air and the fuel into the engine. Okay. If I turn this around, we have another flapper. That's your choke door. Okay. See, it's got some holes in it there. It'll let some air through. How the choke works is when your engine's cold, they like a lot of fuel, not as much air. You know, I mean, you got to wake it up. You got to get that gas into that spark plug, so it's like, oh, okay. So what you want to do is, when you choke it, you close that off, and you're just letting a little bit of air through, but more gas. Okay, and that's how you start your stuff. And when your stuff starts, and then it gets running, you open it up, and then it's letting all the air through. Now, when they design a carburetor, I don't care if it's a 4-barrel on a GM motor, a 350 or a 2-barrel or whatever, these sizes, diameters are all figured into the engine. Okay, what it needs for airflow and fuel flow. So there is a science to it, but we're not going to get into that. So anyway, this right here is our fuel inlet. That's where our fuel line goes. Okay, this lets gas into here. Alright, so it fills up this little bowl. I'm going to take this bowl off. Okay, usually inside these bowls, when you pull it off, this one should be full of gas and there's no gas, so I got bigger problems, but that's not your problem. If you find dirt, you'll find dirt in here because even if you have a filter, sometimes that dirt gets by that filter. Okay, so you'll get dirt in here, nasty, yucky stuff. And remember that because we'll go back to that later. In the bottom of the carburetor, you have a float. Okay, it's literally a float. See how it moves up and down? So when this bowl fills up with gas, it makes this float. And the float is controlling how much gas is going into that bowl. So if there's no gas in the bowl, the float's wide open. If the bowl is full, it pushes it up, it turns the gas off, says, we don't need no more, we got plenty of gas in here right now in the swimming pool, alright? You know what I'm saying? Okay, so sometimes these will stick, and you'll see someone, maybe you've seen someone tap on the carburetor with a wrench or a hammer or something. What they're trying to do is they're trying to get this free, because sometimes they'll stick down, and it'll just keep feeding fuel into the bowl, and then it'll be leaking out of here, and leaking out of here, and be leaking everywhere. That's what a stuck float is when it's stuck down. When it's up, it's off. It says, oh, we got enough fuel in here, we don't need no more, alright? So I'm going to pop this off, and we will move forward. It's held in by a little pin. Okay, so now I got the float off. This is the float. That's where the little pin goes that holds it on the carburetor. This little guy right here, if you can see him, that's called a needle. Alright? And the needle acts like a plunger. So that's plunging in and out as your float's floating to turn the gas on and off. That is going into this little port right here. This porthole is where the fuel comes out. So the fuel comes in here and it comes out down here. Alright, so that needle and float is just helping you control how much fuel is in the carburetor because you only need so much at a time. You get into this center hole and that's going to be your main fuel jet, okay, and venturi, but we're not going to get that deep. This is where the plunger goes. This guy, he goes right in there and he shuts that off. You know what I'm saying? So he'll stop letting the fuel get into there from the bowl when he's like decided to plunge or not plunge. So that's what that's all about. All right. So normally these are a flathead screwdriver to take them apart. This carburetor is special. All right. Sometimes they do things differently, and this is a Walbro carburetor, and they kind of do things differently. Normally you can unscrew the jet, you pull it out and clean it. I can try and push this one out, but I don't know how it's going to go, alright? Because sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. I've had experiences with these before. Mostly bad. Did I mention my name tag? You see my name tag right in there? Yeah. I had to make sure. Someone brought that up to me the other day. I'm like, hey, where's your name tag? I'm going to get some hats and shirts made. I think. At least a couple. One for me, two for me. I don't know. If they're cool, they're funny. I don't know. Maybe you want one. I'll hook you up. Anyway, this little guy ain't coming out. But what we do when we get into this jet right here is there's little pinholes, all right, and you just got to clean it out. So you get some carburetor cleaner, you blow it in here, you blow it in all the little holes you find around here. If you blow it out with compressed air, you clean your bowl. It's got some spots in it, but that's not dirt. It's just like corrosion or something. You clean it all out and blow it all out. You're pretty sure you're going to be good to go. So this is simple. I mean, you get into an automotive carburetor, it's a little more in depth, but it's pretty much the same principle. All right. So you got your throttle side. This goes to the motor, like that. And this is the air side. This goes to your air cleaner, or where your engine's bringing air in. So you're bringing air in here, and in here you have the magic of fuel mixing, and then it's coming out here and it's going into your engine with your throttle. You know, and your throttle controls how much air and fuel is going into your engine. That's what makes it rev up and down. I wish I could had a different specimen to show you more about this, but this seems to be the guy I'm working on tonight. So maybe later we'll get a different one. Maybe I'll get when I do the race mower, we'll get a little more in depth into that. It might be interesting, might not be, but I figured that was gonna be a good video for tonight. I mean, someone had to say to you at some point, hey, you got shit in your carburetor. Well, that's what they're talking about. Alright, you just gotta take it apart, clean it out. Don't be afraid to take it apart. Someone put it together, and so you can take it apart and put it together. It's not a big deal. Don't be scared. Just make sure when you take this off, you crimp off your gas line, or you empty your gas tank, which you probably won't do, but you want to crimp off your gas line, or you're going to have gas dripping everywhere the whole time this is off. Get yourself some vice grips or something. So, yeah, that's all I got for tonight. Little Jim Bob technical information. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Good night.